As you may know, I'm currently suspended from Turo, and you, the viewer, in fact more than 95% of you who commented on this video are in agreement that I'm completely in the wrong and deserve it. If you haven't seen my last video, I suggest you get caught up to speed with the link in the description to decide for yourself, but allow me to present a Turo host choose your own adventure. You're playing the character as me in this scenario. I received my car back in great condition, but the previous guest reported the trunk sensor is beeping. I'm unable to resolve the issue within the 14 hours I have before my next guest arrives at the airport. So do I A. Deliver the car like normal and hope he doesn't say anything? Well, while the car drives normally, the guest will definitely notice. So I could also B. Let the guest know up front and deliver anyway, assuring him I'll be there to help him out if he runs into more issues. Maybe he'll be irritated, but at least it allows the opportunity for the trip to go as smoothly as possible. But just to be safe, maybe I go with the viewer recommendation and C. Cancel the trip. What if the 60 seconds of beeping is just too much to bear? By canceling it, I can avoid dealing with this entire situation. I can avoid confrontation, avoid risk, and avoid a negative review if he can't even start his trip. Sure, he'll be stranded in a different state, and he'll be out $250 because a refund takes a while to get, and he may have to spend the first day of his trip getting a more expensive car, say from Enterprise, at his own expense. And of course, canceling the trip may be against Turo's guidelines since the car wasn't part of a verifiable natural disaster, safety recall, or in an inoperable state. I could force the cancellation anyways, like viewers recommended. And okay, this might result in a 7-day suspension and a $50 cancellation fee, which would then cause my trip after this one to be canceled as well, meaning 2 guest trips would be unexpectedly canceled. Sometimes you lose money hosting a rental, and I simply gotta live with it. And the good news is a temporary ban, plus a fine, plus 2 guest trips being canceled, would prevent the absolutely horrific disaster of a guy having to hear a sensor beep for 60 seconds at the start of his trip. So I decided to go with B. Tell the guest up front, give him the opportunity to drive, and be there to help him out. According to many of you, this was my first mistake. One comment suggested I reverse the roles and I imagine I'm making a video as if I'm my renter. So I just arrived to the airport to pick up my rental Tesla, and for some reason the sensor is beeping on the trunk even though it's closed, which is really annoying. It stops after a minute, but still, that's not what I was expecting. But it seems to drive fine, so I'm going to drive it now. Hey viewers, I just arrived at the hotel and it didn't let me use autopilot. Also, because the car thinks the door is open, the alarm keeps going off. But instead of disabling the alarm, I'm just gonna complain about it. The good news is the host gave me a 50% refund, and now I'm gonna enjoy the rest of my trip. Next up, I put myself in the shoes of my guest, assuming my viewers were my Turo host. Hey viewers, I just arrived to the airport and my car isn't here. What the heck? I contacted the host and I was like, hey, where's my car? And he was like, your trip was canceled. And I was like, why? Was it stolen? And he was like, no. Is it inoperable? And he was like, no. And I was like, what's the problem? And he said, well, you see, a sensor was beeping. And I was like, that's it? And he was like, yeah, but it would beep for 60 seconds and it was really annoying. And I was like, but I don't mind it. I have a business trip, I have to go. And now I'm at the airport stranded and I don't have a car. What do I do? And he was like, well, you could rent a car from Enterprise. And I was like, but I wanted a Model S Plaid with 1,000 horsepower, not a Toyota Camry. And he was like, well, and I was like, also, when do I get my refund? And he was like, Turo said it would take 3 to 5 days. And I was like, what? I paid $230 for this and now I have to pay out of pocket for a rental from Enterprise? Yeah. You could get another Turo car if you want. Oh, okay, how do I do that? Do you have one? No. Where do I get it from? Another host has to bring it to the airport, so it might take the entire day. So anyway, that's why I'm stuck at the airport and can't get to my business meetings. I feel like if he was a good host, he would have let me drive the car anyway, told me up front what the issue is, and maybe offered me a partial refund or something, assuming it's all safe. But instead, I'm stuck at the airport and making this vlog about how I'm gonna miss half of my business trip.
Thanks for watching.
To me, it's so interesting to see the reaction on the last video. It totally did not expect it. I was like, what is going on? Something we were all expecting though is I'm trying to figure out a segue to talk about America's biggest injury law firm. And in the case you're seriously hurt, your injuries could potentially be worth millions without the time-consuming appointments, paperwork, upfront costs, and reliving the traumatic event over and over. Insurance companies often lowball clients' claims, but if you become Morgan & Morgan's client, they will fight to get you the money you deserve. They've achieved significant verdicts in the past couple months for victims involved in a huge plethora of injuries, including life-altering car crashes. Like $12 million in Florida, 34 times the highest insurance offer. $26 million in Philadelphia, 40 times the highest insurance offer. One client was hit by an uninsured motorist and sued his own insurance after they offered him just $50,000, which didn't even cover his medical expenses. So Morgan & Morgan secured him over $5 million. Morgan & Morgan's fee is absolutely free unless you win your case. So if you've been seriously injured, your case could potentially be worth millions. You're just a few clicks away from potentially changing your life. You can start your claim now with Morgan & Morgan at forthepeople.com/goherping, linked in the description, or by using your phone to scan the QR code on screen. Thank you to Morgan & Morgan for sponsoring. Back to the video. Okay, wait, hold on. We're forgetting something. We're forgetting extremely important context. I'm acting like this was just a beeping sensor, but that is not the case. There were two other unexpected issues caused by this one problem. One, autopilot not working, and two, the car alarm sounding itself off at random. Now, there's no workaround to force autopilot to work, but since he's already on the trip, already at his destination, he's left the airport, we must continue the choose your own adventure, and there's only a few options to resolve this one. A, offer a refund. B, do nothing. So I gave him 50% off his entire rental, which is a $115 compensation, but then we have the dreaded car alarm going off. This was arguably the worst of the three inconveniences because it not only disturbs the guest, but it disturbed everyone at the hotel. The good news is we don't even need a list of options on what to do here. That's right, you can just tap the screen and turn the car alarm off. Okay, we're cooking. He survived the 60 seconds of beeping. He received a 50% refund for the autopilot inconvenience, and the car alarm is Oh, wait. He didn't disable the car alarm. Unfortunately, I cannot control the actions of others, and the decision from my guest to ignore the solution and instead spend 4 hours on the phone with overseas Turo support, demanding them to take the car away from him, was the decision he went with. You can lead a Turo guest to water, but you cannot make him turn off a car alarm. Okay, change of plans, I guess. My renter has decided to force Turo to take the car away from him and leave him stranded for some reason. Kind of a weird choice, but it's up to him. I can't do anything about it. I can't stop Turo roadside unless I go pick it up myself, which they were willing to let me do, and provide him enough Uber credits to cover all the remainder of his travels. And so was the sensor malfunctioning his fault? No, of course not. But at least him calling a tow truck means the vehicle that he hated and that he regretted renting will be out of his hair. Oh, wait, the tow truck arrived and the guest refused to let the car get towed? What? He wants to keep it now? I mean, I don't blame him. I would have kept the car. So, I mean, yeah, if he wants, he can keep the car. I guess that's fine. But also, wait, how did he even convince Turo to tow it anyway? And why did it take him 4 hours to get it towed? Did he file a report claiming the vehicle is inoperable? That's why Turo's towing it? Turo believes my car is disabled and may pose a danger to my guest? Well, that's kind of weird. It seemed to get him to the hotel just fine. Well, none of this would be a problem if he actually followed through with the request that he put in. He would get what he wanted, which was apparently anything but my car. That way I get the car back, I verify it's safe, and I get it on the road for my next guest. But now he won't give it back, and he wants to keep it till the end of his trip. So this is where the dilemma came in right before I tried to force the car from him, which many of you, unsurprisingly, didn't like that part too much. Because in the end, the guest realized, wow, it's almost like my epic Turo host, Alex G, was not trying to punk me and was actually trying to offer me the best solution to make sure my trip was as smooth as possible. But that's where we saw it become even more complicated, being that Turo won't drop a report, even if it's falsified. because they require me to prove it as such, guilty until proven innocent of course, which requires me getting my car back. So Turo put me in an odd position where I have to do, I gotta do 3 things to stay in good standing with Turo. Fulfill the guest trip until the end of the trip, fix the issue that was reported, deliver the car to the guest after this guy, and the guest after that guy, and the guest after that guy. Or girl. Sometimes girls drive too. Women's rights. Or else all my upcoming trips are canceled and my car gets banned, yada yada. Except all these things overlap at the same time. So it was at this point that I decided to apply pressure to both Turo and to the guest. Basically as my last ditch effort to stop the domino effect from crashing into the rest of my Turo adventures. But because I'm a weak little baby and couldn't apply enough pressure, neither Turo nor the guest budged. I was just no match for these unstoppable forces. Also, let's not forget about the peeling steering wheel, which up until this point, no guest has really complained about, but he has the right to. He can totally, First Amendment, women's right to vote. He's welcome to complain about this. And I may be biased, but I don't think he really cared about the wheel that much. I think it was just like his cherry on top of complaints. And because, okay, yes, the wheel is damaged. Let's say you order Wingstop and they forget your ranch. Personally, I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to go back. But let's say I went to Wingstop, they forgot my ranch, my fountain drink was flat, and they gave me boneless wings instead of bone-in traditional wings. Okay, now I'm going back. I don't want freaking boneless wings. So you go back, you complain about the wings, you complain about the drink, and then as you're complaining, you add the ranch complaint on top, since you're already just on this roll of abusing this minimum wage worker. That's kind of how I feel the steering wheel was. He didn't like the sensor issue. He didn't like the car alarm going off. And then he was like, you know what? Your steering wheel is yucky too, you stinky little host. Honestly, at the end of the day, the only recommendation that made sense by any viewer was to finance a new Tesla and just have it delivered to the guest. That's the herp way. When in doubt, take out some debt. Also, by the way, I can't just swap my personal car and give it to him like Turo recommended even. And some of you, that would be giving a commercially uninsured vehicle that's not approved to rent by my personal insurance in the hands of some random bozo from Turo, which is also a car that was rejected by Turo because it doesn't qualify for the platform, all while having illegal modifications that in the case he's pulled over, he would get ticketed for. But ultimately, even if I could give him my personal car, I wouldn't. So in summary, yes, you're all wrong. But that does not negate the reality that my Turo account is one Filipino call center employee away from either being gone for good or coming back so that we can continue trying to make some money on my Model S Plaid. So, thank you for watching and stay tuned.